The Business Buzz.
Good evening and welcome to the Business Buzz, where we focus on news and activities that affect the economy of Sri Lanka. I'm Theruni Karunaratna. Let's start off with the headlines. BOC to raise 5 billion rupees through debenture issue. Will Red Sea shipping crisis affect Sri Lanka? The deep dive with tax expert N.R. Gajendran. GDP grows 1.6% in third quarter. IMF cautions over reform fatigue among public. We start out with some market news. The Colombo Stock Exchange has announced changes to the 20 constituent companies of the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index. The S&P Sri Lanka 20 index is comprised of the 20 largest companies by market capitalization listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange that meet certain minimum requirements of size, liquidity and financial viability. Effective from the 18th of December, the following companies have been included: DFCC Bank, Dialog Asiata PLC, Distilleries Company of Sri Lanka PLC, Hatton National Bank PLC and Nations Trust Bank PLC. The companies that have been excluded are Browns Investments PLC, Dipped Products PLC, Expo Lanka Holdings PLC, Richard Perez & Co PLC and Sri Lanka Telecom PLC. The Bank of Ceylon is to raise 5 billion rupees through a debenture issue which opens this Thursday, the 21st of December 2023. The Colombo Stock Exchange has approved in principle the listing of 50 million Basel III complaint Tier 2 listed, rated, unsecured, subordinated, redeemable debentures at a par value of 100 rupees each to be listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange. The total value of the debenture issue would be 5 billion rupees with an option to issue up to a further 5 billion rupees for a total of 10 billion rupees. Fitch Ratings has given the State Bank a viability rating of Rating Watch Negative while confirming a long-term rating at CC. The government's latest budget has set aside 450 billion rupees for possible recapitalization of state banks. Tonight on The Deep Dive, we have well-known tax expert N.R. Gajendran speaking on the impact of the impending VAT increase.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to The Deep Dive. With us here today we have Mr. N.R. Gajendran, tax expert, to discuss the impact of the VAT increase. Mr. Gajendran, I would like to start off with a question that a lot of Sri Lankans really want an answer for. Apart from the actual increase in VAT, many items that were earlier exempt from VAT, such as petrol, diesel and gas, have now been included at 18%. What is the ceiling to this? Do you think that it will further increase more than 18%? Do you think it will hit more essential items? When is this going to end?
Yeah, basically there were about 140 odd items which was exempt from VAT. And that has been brought down to about 38-40 items. Basically, if you see most of those items were considered essential for a long period of time, and they have been brought into the exposure of VAT. So if you see that the revenue expectation increase arising from these consequential changes, particularly on VAT, from 2023 to 2024, they're expecting about 720 billion increase in revenue. If you just monetize that on 18%, it is about 4 trillion rupees. Our economy is about 31.5 trillion. So there is definitely a larger base of essential items are going to be attracted. So naturally, there will be some increase in VAT, but whether you can achieve this 720 is one issue, major issue. So in addition, there is a 3% increase from 15 to 18%. I believe this is the highest rate that we have ever had in VAT. There are other countries which have sometimes higher rates, but many of those countries have multiple rates of VAT. So we don't have, we just have a single rate of VAT. So this is going to definitely have an impact on the cost of living of the people, because still people have not got the grasp of it. The business have not got the grasp of it. Items that were not exempt, it's going to become exempt. The entire base is going to go up by 3%. So it will be a phenomenal increase in some of the essential items. And it is going to have a negative impact on the cost of living. Prices are bound to increase. And when prices are increasing, now capacity to purchase also has depleted. Consumption shall decrease. It will have a spiral effect on the economy. There's negative growth already, and interest rates are bound to go up. And there will be consequential effects on the economy and the people of Sri Lanka. The question is whether this rate increase will stop with this. I cannot say it can stop with this. There is no policy pronouncement that they are not going to increase anything further. There was expectations that even things like electricity was to be brought into the VAT net. They have not brought that in. There was things were spoken all over, even in Parliament, that the threshold is going to come to 60 million for a year from 80 million. That has not been enacted yet. So those may come in. There are other items could come in. It's going to be because all focus, rightly or wrongly by the government at the moment, is on revenue, not on other measures. So it's going to be a telling effect. There's no question about it.
Do you think that the government's revenue targets will be met by this increase in VAT?
I don't think this country has achieved any of its revenue targets in the past. If you see 2023, we fixed the revenue at 3.6 trillion. We refixed it at 3.4 trillion. Now, in the revised estimates, it is expected we'll reach only 2.8 trillion. Now from 2.8 trillion, we are going up to about 4.1 trillion. That's about 50% increase. Can we achieve this when the economy is shrinking? I think only this third quarter it is reported there was a positive growth from 2021. The whole year there is going to be negative growth, 3.8%, and next year also the IMF predicts at about 1.68%. But with these effects, this negative growth scale can even still increase. So it's going to be, it looks like I'm talking of doom. I wish it's not going to be, but it's going to be daunting for the government and also for the people.
Do you think that this VAT increase poses a serious challenge to any effort that is being made to breathe life back into the economy?
It is not only the VAT increase. So many income tax have increased. As I said, the focus is on revenue. Income tax went up from 18% to 36%, the highest rate. Earlier, the highest rate of 18% was over 9 million rupees. Now it's over 3.6 million, 7 million rupees. And it's, it's the principle of capacity to pay for goods and services has been substantially depleted because the VAT went from 18 to 18%. Now we have a SSCL of 2.5%, so about 20% goes off on that. 36% goes on income tax. We'll have about, out of say 100,000 rupees, we'll have about 45,000. And the purchasing power has depleted because rupee has depreciated. From about 180, 200, it's about 330 now, right? So basically, if you had 100,000 rupees earlier, now it's equivalent to, if you put both taxes together, it's equivalent to 25,000 rupees. When you would earlier, it would have been about 76,000 rupees. So it's again back to square one.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gajendran, for joining us here today. That's all the time we have here today. Until next time, for the Business Buzz team, I'm Malsha Nanayakkara.
Now here are some of the notable new developments. The IMF has warned that the elections scheduled for 2024 could derail economic reforms and bring about social unrest, and has called for contingency plans to be drawn up. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has promised 3 major elections next year: parliamentary, presidential and provincial council elections. The IMF staff report issued upon completion of the first review of its Sri Lanka program last week has cautioned that the next year's presidential, parliamentary and provincial council elections could derail the reforms and that there is a risk of social unrest linked to these elections. The report has also warned that the program to bail out Sri Lanka's economy may be underfinanced. The report said, quote, "Risks to program implementation and financing are high and have increased since program approval. Implementation risks arise from Sri Lanka's track record of reform implementation and the challenging political and social situation. In this regard, contingency plans are crucial and policies should remain agile to adjust to the evolving circumstances," unquote. The report warned that there could be a backlash due to fatigue over the government's reforms that have placed much stress on the people. The report said, quote, "Social unrest could re-emerge fueled by falling real incomes, including from tax rate hikes and cost recovery pricing in the energy sector, insufficient anti-corruption efforts and delayed local elections. Delays in implementing the debt restructuring could lead to weaker confidence and tighter financing conditions," unquote. Sri Lanka's gross domestic product is estimated to have expanded by 1.6% in the third quarter that ended on the 30th of September 2023, according to the Department of Census and Statistics. Now, this may be a sign that the economy may be moving towards a recovery following the bankruptcy that was triggered by devastating macroeconomic policies. The Department of Census and Statistics has released the estimated gross domestic product or GDP and other macroeconomic indicators for the third quarter, which runs from the 1st of July to the 30th of September of 2023. The year-on-year GDP growth rate at constant price for the third quarter of the year 2023 has been reported as 1.6% of positive growth rate. The GDP of the third quarter of 2023 at constant price has increased up to 2.94 trillion rupees from the 2.9 trillion rupees which was recorded in the third quarter of the previous year, 2022. The agricultural, industrial and services activities expanded by 3%, 0.3% and 1.3% respectively in the third quarter of 2023. In addition, the gross domestic product of Sri Lanka for the third quarter of 2023 at current price has increased up to 6.9 trillion rupees from 6.58 trillion rupees, which was recorded in the same quarter of the year 2022, registering a 4.9% positive change in the current price GDP. The three major economic activities in the economy, agriculture, industry and services, have contributed their share to the GDP at current prices by 7.8%, 28.1% and 57.5% respectively, where the taxes less subsidies on products component has contributed 6.5% of the share to the GDP in the third quarter of the year 2023. Now, the global shipping industry is facing a fresh challenge, with 4 of the world's 5 largest shipping companies temporarily halting passage of their ships through the Red Sea due to attacks by Yemen's Houthi faction. The oil giant BP also announced that its tankers would not pass through the Red Sea anymore. Now, this area is 4,000 kilometers away from Colombo, but ships that transit Colombo between the east and the west must travel through this danger zone. European company MSC, Danish company Maersk, German line Hapag-Lloyd and French company CMA-CGM have all suspended voyages through the narrow Bab al-Mandeb Strait that connects the Red Sea with the Indian Ocean. 40% of the world's shipping passes through the strait, which is 50 kilometers long but is just 26 kilometers wide from Yemen to the African state of Djibouti. Ships that use the Suez Canal then pass through the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. The alternate route is around the continent of Africa, which is much more costly and takes several weeks longer. Houthi attacks have been made on numerous ships using missiles and drones, and several ships have caught fire and been damaged. The Houthis, who are aligned with Iran and control much of Yemen, say they are targeting ships heading for Israel. But of late, the ships that have been attacked have been flying the flags of various nations, including Liberia, Panama, Hong Kong and Norway. Warships of various nations, including the United States and the United Kingdom, have gone to the aid of the attacked vessels and have also shot down several drones and missiles. Sri Lanka tourism's efforts to upgrade the country's tourist facilities continued with the Tourist Homestay Twinning project that is aimed at improving homestay accommodation. The tourism homestay twinning project was carried out by the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority in partnership with the Jetwing Academy and Asian Development Bank. The program, which commenced last September, was conducted over a course of 3 months with the support of Jetwing hotels across 6 regions: Galle, Negombo, Kandy, Dambulla, Jaffna and Pothuil. Through this project, 36 homestay owners were educated on how to run their establishments and effectively market their homes to help generate more revenue. Training workshops were carried out in multiple locations in the country. Topics covered include operations and standards, housekeeping, kitchen, food and beverage, front office and customer care, health, hygiene and safety, and digital marketing. A set of homestay guidelines was handed over by the ADB to the SLTDA that are in line with global industry standards. A free trade agreement between Sri Lanka and Thailand is likely to be finalized by February 2024. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced that a free trade agreement will be finalized with Thailand in 2 months. The 8th round of negotiations towards this FTA was completed recently. Despite their historic ties, the two countries shared a trade volume of just $352 million in 2022. The Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology, or APPIT Sri Lanka, recently held its graduation at the main hall of the BMICH. The Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology held its graduation ceremony recently, where a total of 579 students received undergraduate and postgraduate degrees in business, computing and law from the Staffordshire University. The chief guest at the occasion was Professor Annabel Keenan, Pro-Vice Chancellor Education of Staffordshire University. Bernard Stefan, Managing Director of Nestle Lanka plc, was the guest of honour. The event marked the awarding of degrees in Bachelor of Engineering Honours in Software Engineering, Bachelor of Science Honours in Computer Science, Bachelor of Science Honours in Cybersecurity, Bachelor of Science Honours in International Business Management, Bachelor of Laws Honours, Master of Business Administration, Master of Science in Computer Science Business Computing, and Master of Laws in International Business Law. The ceremony celebrated the success of 106 students receiving first-class honours degrees, 150 students receiving second-class first division degrees, and 92 postgraduate students receiving degrees with distinctions. The chief guest, Professor Annabel Keenan, congratulated the graduates while emphasizing the importance of continuous learning and encouraged them to think about how they could use their experience to make a difference in the world. The guest of honor, Mr. Bernard Stefan, congratulated the graduates in his address and highlighted the power of a young leader to shape the future of Sri Lanka and the world, to make a positive impact and to create a lasting change. Now let's take a look at some corporate news. Malay Mukherjee has been appointed as chairman and Sanjay Pokral as a non-independent director of UB Finance plc, following a strategic investment by CG Partners Pte Limited in Union Bank. Union Bank holds a 90% stake in UB Finance. Valuable Finance recently opened its newest branch in Matale and now has a network of 60 branches strategically located across Sri Lanka. The new branch offers a full range of services including leasing, fixed deposits, gold loans, group personal loans, mortgage loans, education loans, auto drafts and microfinance products. Hatton National Bank plc won 5 awards at the Slim National Sales Awards. Akil Ahmed of the Kenya branch won gold in the Sales Executive category. Dasun Uthuruvalla from the Solo unit won gold in the Sales Supervisor category. Harshan Munasinghe of the Network Sales unit was awarded gold in the Sales Frontline category. Arichandran Yogadas of Jaffna Metro branch and Shanak Samarasinghe of the Network Sales unit won bronze awards. Love's Rubber was named runner-up for Most Outstanding Exporter overall at the National Chamber of Exporters Awards. It also won the Gold Award in the Rubber Tire and Accessories category. NDB Bank has become the first commercial bank in Sri Lanka to attain the ISO 22301-2019 certification for its business continuity management system, setting a new standard in the financial sector. This significant feat follows closely on the heels of NDB Bank's triumph in April 2023, where it received the ISO 27001 certification for its information security management system. Butterwillow Plantations plc has announced the appointment of 3 new directors. Riaz Mehula and Arjuna Herath have been appointed independent non-executive directors, while M. Thanveer Siddique was appointed non-independent non-executive director. Global technology company 99X has announced the appointment of Hasit Yaggahavita as its new CEO from the 1st of January 2024. He replaces the company's founder Manoj Sekaram, who is stepping down after 20 years but will remain as a group board member. Orit Apparel's Lanka Private Limited bagged the Gold Award at the NCE Awards in the textile and garments sector extra large category. Orit Apparel's Lanka Private Limited, which is a fully owned subsidiary of the global apparel giant Indochine International, focuses completely on denim products. Demo Coastline Private Limited won the title of Best Support Services in the Maritime Industry at the South Asian Business Excellence Awards held in the Maldives recently. Established in 2017, Demo Coastline has expanded throughout the Maldives. Gavinro Investments has joined hands with SOCON Singapore to launch Sri Lanka's first 300-kilometer electric commercial vehicle. The vehicle has a capacity of 1.2 tons. SOCON has a global presence in 70 countries and has produced over 3.5 million vehicles. The packaging arm of Valuable One plc, Unidil Packing and Unidil Packaging Solutions Limited has been awarded Carbon Footprint Verification and has been named as a Carbon Footprint Verified Manufacturing Organisation by the Sri Lanka Climate Fund and the Ministry of Environment. The companies also comply with the ISO 14064-2018 standard. It is now time for Food for Thought, where we give you something to think about. Do the greedy beat the needy every time? In Sri Lanka, it certainly seems to happen an awful lot of times. The script of Willy Wonka illustrates that idea throughout the movie, with Wonka spending the 6 measly farthings he has in his pocket on such legally mandatory expenses as a fine for daydreaming. He's taken in by a seemingly kind-hearted local innkeeper, only to figure out that every single thing he does adds a new charge to the bottom line, including walking upstairs to his room and taking a bath. His 10-guinea room turns into a 10,000 guinea nightmare after just one day. And what's worse is that he has agreed to pay the bill with his own labour. The constant fines levied on all but the rich, and the tendency of cruel characters to slap, punch and kick the powerless amply drives home the point of the movie. This seems an apt illustration of what the IMF has warned us about in its latest report, where it warns about reform fatigue and possible unrest. Something for policymakers to think about as we head for the latest round of new taxes, with the 18% VAT coming into effect on the 1st of January. We'll leave you tonight with words of wisdom from a notable person, like we always do. Watching politicians of various hues preparing for an election year next year, we're reminded of what the English poet Charles Lamb once said, and I quote, "Some people have a knack of putting upon you gifts of no real value to engage you to substantial gratitude. We thank them for nothing," unquote. If you enjoyed the Business Buzz, do hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe to the Newsfirst English YouTube channel. That's all the time we have for you tonight. For the Newsfirst and Business Buzz team, I'm Thiruni Ratna. We'll see you again next week, same time. Until then, take care and good night.
The Business Buzz.